Hey there, you're very welcome to the ADHD Is podcast. My name is Linda Monahan. I am ADHD, medicated for ADHD, ADHD parent, ADHD mentor, and just want to help people with ADHD or neurodivergent. ADHD Is podcast. This is, I don't even know what episode it is. I'm not counting. That's because I'll lose track. It's going well so far. A couple more reviews if you could. I'd love that. Thank you very much. We are going to be talking about choosing the right partner in life. Before that, I would say to you, as far as medication is concerned, if you are undiagnosed and you're happy to be undiagnosed, more power to your elbow. I have had friends who thought they were ADHD and they was actually anxiety, and they were depressed, and actually other therapies worked for them, worked really well, and they've come out the other side really positively, and they're not ADHD and they don't experience the symptoms anymore because they've dealt with other issues. So a lot of things can be similar: childhood trauma, as I say, anxiety. So really establishing, as I say, it is, I'm not prescriptive. Get diagnosed, don't get diagnosed. I would suggest if you're a woman in later 30s into their 40s and you are struggling and you haven't been diagnosed, a diagnosis isn't going to make everything better, but actually it will help looking back and it will help going forward, in my opinion. As far as medication is concerned, trial and error on medication, gosh, I was so lucky. I went on Tyvance straight away and it has just been amazing. It's been so good, and even down to trial and error of how I take it, how I don't take it. And it's so funny, I got feedback about that people hadn't realised that what you're doing when you're taking it. And I thought it was placebo, but actually loads of people are like, oh my God, I've changed how I take it. And now I'm more focused, because obviously if you're sitting down in a chair and you're watching TV and you take your ADHD meds, are you just going to become more focused on watching the TV rather than what you could be doing or what you could be focusing on? I don't know a huge amount about other meds. I would love to hear in the comments. I do have a family member that Concerta didn't suit them. I do have a friend that Concerta didn't suit them. Very sluggish, very slow. Did bring calm, but everything was just way too slow in life. And if you're ADHD, everything's on fire, and actually maybe we should be on fire, but be on fire with that one thing. So the Tyvance brings the calm to focus on one thing after another rather than everything at once, if that makes sense. Side effects, obviously monitor side effects. If your HP or health professional has said it, one of the side effects of Tyvance is an elevated heart rate. So just to be aware of that. I never really my blood pressure is quite low anyway. I never really experienced that, but that is one of the side effects, and they will, to watch out for that, because your resting heart rate can go into the 80s, which is it's not really a good thing. So that might determine that the megs that you're taking could be wrong. But trial and error, absolute trial and error on meds. Choosing a partner. I obviously didn't know I was ADHD when I chose my partner 20 years ago. I would say he is probably the first person that I didn't mask with. The very aligned, very very spiritual experience, in the sense that I had been so desperate for love and to create a unit that I felt safe in. That sounds really sad, but I'll be completely honest with you. I was so desperate, and I was seeking love in all the wrong places, and impulsivity, and you name it. Yeah, drink, blah. But a lot of dating, couple of boyfriends, nothing too significant. I actually went out with two of my good friends' brothers because I loved their families, and I think that's why I went out with their brothers, because I want to be part of their happy family. Yeah, probably. That's not to take away, because they're two really, really nice guys. I don't think I've ever ended a relationship on a bad note. My very first boyfriend, it wasn't a clean ending, because he was in and out of my life for probably about 10 years after. And as I say, everything very aligned, in the sense that, like, he had other people in his life, I had other people in my life, and maybe once a year on a Saturday night. And the last time I ever saw him was the night I met my husband, and I just think that's fucking mental. Like, his parents live not 2 kilometers that way, and I remember we had done pre-drinks in a friend's house, and pre-drinks when fucking drink was half nothing, hilarious, 2006. And we went to the Porterhouse in Bray, and in fairness, my husband had been on my radar for about a year, but things just hadn't worked out. There was other people in his life, there was people in my life, and I didn't even know he was going to be out the night that we were out. And I walked in and I saw the first boyfriend, and he was with his girlfriend at the time, and I just went over and said hello, met the girlfriend. That's how, like, honestly chill it was. There was no feelings there. He treated me very badly towards the end, but he was a fucking kid, I was a kid, whatever. But honestly, it felt like saying goodbye that night. And I met my husband 20 minutes later. Now, obviously I'd met him before, but and I was very much, because he knew me, I didn't mask. He knew who I was. He knew we had been in a couple of friendship groups, similar friendship groups. We had, gone out to different things. And I probably just wasn't masked. I was just myself, and I was fabulous, and he just didn't know what was going on, that I was it. No, I'm messing. But yeah, and he was going off traveling for the summer for a few weeks, and things happened very, very quickly. And I remember I just remember not behaving how I'd behaved with other people. And maybe that I had the comfort in knowing that he was very solid, but how I behaved with him was completely at odds at how I'd behaved with everybody else. And I remember he was going away, and a couple of things happened, and we had missed different dates, and he had cancelled one night, and then he was going to cancel the second night, like a Wednesday, and then he was going to cancel on the Thursday. And we were communicating via fucking email in work. There was no text or anything like that. We were communicating via email. How funny, like personal email in work. And it wasn't, not our work emails, like Gmail or Hotmail or whatever. And I remember emailing him and saying, if you cancel tonight, don't contact me again. And I'd never done anything like that. I'd never been brave, and and he went out that night with me. I remember just saying, no, fuck off if you want. And genuine reasons to cancel, in the sense, it was genuine reasons. That's probably why his sister hates me, because it was her 40th birthday. She'd had a 40th, she'll go mad, 30th. She'd had about fucking 10 30th birthdays. Would you stop? But yeah, so I established who I was, and we never looked back. He lived in Monkstown, and I practically moved in with him and his roommates. Such good times. We moved into our own apartment for a few months, and then bought a house, as you do. Gosh, why did we do these things? And have been here ever since. Got married in 2009. The reason I say choose a partner, because he was in the back of my head. I had, as I say, unconsciously behaved different. He's the patience of a saint. He never really says no to me. And I can remember probably over 20 years, about 4 or 5 times where he said no. And I know if he says no, there's really no, there's a lot of principle behind it, because he'll have weighed it up and he'll have thought about it. And because he never says no, when he says no, I respect that. And it's not that he's telling me or dictating what to do. It's just that he has been very, very informative about the decision. It hasn't just been a light decision that he has made. Very supportive, very, he worked in a position for years, and he was very institutionalized in that position, 100%. And I worked up until, I think, 2016, up until I had my second kid. I worked in corporate, and I'd say at one stage I was earning double what he was earning, and there was never an issue. He never felt emasculated, or there was never, he's just like, retire me, bitch, like, I want to be a man of the house. It was never a problem. He just is so confident in himself, and so supportive, and so, it sounds like but honestly, when you see all this like red pill stuff and toxic masculinity, to have a man that is not toxic and will call out WhatsApp groups that he in if something inappropriate is said, or it's empowering, and it's really lovely. And he has been so supportive on this ADHD journey. I do question whether he possibly could be neurodivergent himself, but I don't think we'll ever, he's very very high functioning. He's very patient with our daughter, very patient, and he learns a lot through me, and he mirrors a lot of how I treat her. He'll treat her, and he's very much that he wants her to be happy and her to have the space. And he's just very supportive. Like, he does probably 70% of the parenting, and I'm not joking when I say that. I obviously am a parent and I love my children. But I did a lot at the start. We had a journey to get here. We ended up having 2 kids naturally, but we did do IVF initially. And like that just batters your body. I was pregnant twice. I breastfed till they were both 10 months. So I really feel that I probably gave 5 years of my body to having children. And once my second was able to, fall asleep without somebody being there or whatever, I've never done a nighttime. I don't do night times. I've never went on a weekend where I had to leave stuff. I just walk out the door. You choose who you are with in life. And this, I think sometimes it's women's own insecurities that, they cried when you left them for the first day of school or the first day. Mine didn't cry. Mine were fucking thrilled to be there. And I was thrilled that they were there. They have a sense of independence and a sense of confidence, and they know they're loved. They get affection. They don't get judged. And honestly, having somebody by your side that is willing to parent their own children I can't believe I said that phrase, but it's a fucking gift. It's a fucking gift. Honestly, like, I don't cook dinners. I may pick stuff up off the floor. The countertops are never going to be to my satisfaction. But that's the trade-off. I do all the washing in the house. I've no issue with that whatsoever. I've a firm habit established as far as washing and laundry is concerned. I talk about it on my social media all the time. I won't go into it here. But he'll always go to one of his wardrobes, and there's always clothes there because he doesn't wash clothes. But that's okay. I'm okay with that because I don't cook dinners. It's a fucking partnerships, and there's jobs I do and there's jobs that he does, and it works. And I'm so grateful. I'm so fucking grateful to have somebody who gives me space and is patient, but also knows exactly when I need them. And it's wonderful. It's really wonderful. So what I say to, as advice is, think about why you want to get into this situation. Think about why you want to be part of a unit. Is it because you didn't have it as a kid? Is it because you need to, there's so many other factors, but in this day and age, you don't have to be defined by a partner. You can fucking do it all on your own. And sometimes I'm so envious of childless people because the fucking freedom and the independence is so wonderful. So wonderful. Would I change where I am? No, I wouldn't. But would I like a break? Sometimes, yeah, I would. And it's not the be all and end all. And, I'm raising my daughter to be fierce and fucking strong. And I'm raising my son to be respectful. Yes, I want him to be fierce and strong, but he's a fucking white man. He'll be grand, like. I am raising him to be respectful and to be a partner and to be a share the load person. And I'm going to leave it there, but I'll leave you with this. Prior to the last 10 years, psychologists, psychiatrists, health professionals thought that some men grew out of ADHD. They thought that it just left them when they were in their 20s. They got married and they transferred the fucking mental load and the to-do list to their wives. And they didn't have to think about shit anymore. And that's what happened. No ADHD was fucking cured. But I tell you what was lifted, mental load. Mental load was lifted. And it's so interesting when you go down that rabbit hole. Build your life with someone who respects you, who loves you, who gives you space when you need it, but is there when you need them. Like, subscribe, leave a comment. There's plenty of goodies in the show notes, and I will see you very soon. Thank you.